Bonjour, je suis not manly et ici le voyage d'espace je ne sais quoi. This is part 10, where we're visiting a tiny potato named Dak in orbit of Edna. Dak is a mere 52 kilometers across. It is really tiny with an almost minuscule but still noticeable surface gravity. It is tidally locked to Edna with a day lasting 78 hours and a bit, and a pretty high orbital inclination of about 10 degrees, but its orbit is quite circular. Delta V to get out here is minuscule. If you can get to Edna, you could probably just hop out over to Dak and possibly come back. Not bad at all for a tiny potato in space. Anyway, it's a very silly place to edit. The Galileo team calls this a potato with a siren's call. It is really beautiful to look at from the surface, and the poles are quite safe. Problem out here is because it's so tiny, like Gilly, forget about rovers, it only has 3 biomes, and landed craft exhibit an interesting property, as I'll show later on in this episode. When we last left our heroes, Chris, Roberta, and Julie Kerman, they were in low orbit above Edna getting ready for their ejection out to Dak. It is a pretty easy ejection out here, a mere 163 meters per second. Just a leisurely trip compared to where these guys have been. Not a problem. There we go, capturing is a mere 51 meters per second and change. We get a gorgeous zoom out shot of Edna here. Look at that. You know, as boring as Edna is, it sure looks pretty. Anyway, we enter into high space above Dak. And, well, just like Gilly, we only have 3 biomes, and after a little bit of surveying, we didn't find any anomalies on the surface. Still, it's worth a decent amount of science, so we send out Roberta to go and collect some high space science. And then once we capture here, we'll get some low space science and do all the usual things we've been doing at these various destinations. If you thought Gilly was silly, well, Dak is pretty silly. Not bad at all. Only, well, it is twice as large as stock Gilly, but not nearly as dense. Now, I did say forget about rovers, but you know what? Let's just use this thing. We've got plenty of spare oxidizer for this craft. We can send Chris and Roberta Lynn Kerman down to the surface of this rock. And we can still use Bon Voyage. I think Bon Voyage just does not care about the surface gravity. It doesn't say, you know, it's a little too light to be able to drive on here. Bon Voyage doesn't care, so hey, why not? And even so, this craft probably has enough Delta V to do like 3 biome hops and then just come back. But hey, we'll get to do a little bit more exploring of the surface of Dak. There we go. Roberta Lynn Kerman is aboard, and here comes Chris. We're going to use Chris this time to bring this thing down to a safe, gentle landing. He's got better command of these rovers. We'll try to land at one of the highest spots on this rock. There we go. Look at that. It certainly is visually different from Gilly. Gilly looks like it was a chunk of Eve that came off of it. This rock definitely looks like it belongs in the asteroid belt. Uh-oh. If we're not careful, we're going to land on a pretty sharp slope there. Fortunately, this craft is so light here, we can just change our orientation and we can land on a flatter spot. But I'm having trouble controlling this craft, and I'm like, wait a minute. That docking port is not oriented the same way as that rovemate, so hey, let's just control from the rovemate instead. That gave me a little better command on this craft, and we're able to put our landing marker on a more flat spot. Now, like Gilly, Dak does not have any surface features that we can scan, nor does it have any rock samples that we can pick up off the surface. But it does have an okay science multiplier, about as good as Edna itself, In fact, since you can make the trip to Dak if you can get to Edna, well, it's just 3 extra biomes for you to do. Why not? Anyway, we're not going to show the entire workflow. We've seen this lots of times before. Dak is a potato with a siren's call, and this is why Roberta just cannot help gazing at the sun at this hilltop here, and there's Kerbin and its little system of moons just off to the left of the sun. The mountains and peaks are just breathtaking. I believe this was the South Pole, and that is one of the cleanest South Poles I have seen in this series. No obvious point up here. It's like they took a model of a stock asteroid and just turned it into this. Beautiful. Yeah, here's the North Pole. I can't see the actual pole up here. Once again, pretty nice job for this tiny little rock. Maybe these smaller objects lend themselves better to the PQS modeling system that the game uses. Anyway, we got ready to take off because we got signs from all 3 biomes, and we're trying to catch up with the main mission craft where Julie Kerman has been waiting patiently for a few hours. I'm trying to get an intersect here. The game's intersect markers are telling me that we can get there, but something's not quite right here. What's going on? Moving over terrain. Well then! Get ready for the shaken ride of your life, guys. I have seen this before. Downey2462 took this once. I never expected to see it here on the surface of an actual planet, though, or moon, or whatever this thing is. Dwarf moon? I don't know. But yeah, we cannot time warp while we're moving over terrain. Okay. Apparently we can still dock, though, so hey, let's give it a shot. Well, see, I'm worried that this craft is going to explode as soon as we dock it. Hopefully we don't do that. Coming in for our approach, but I'm not taking any chances. I'm keeping these guys aboard. Oh, in space low. Well, thank goodness for that. Well, we get the science unloaded and put onto the main mission craft. In the anxiousness to get back aboard the craft from the surface, we did forget something though. And it took me a little while, and I was getting ready to plan my ejection out to Dres when I was like, aren't we missing something here? And it took Julie to pipe up and go, yeah, you're missing something, you knobs. You forgot to plant the flag. So Julie gets out of the craft, and well, this is Dak with ridiculously low gravity. She volunteers to jump out, plant a flag, and then quickly race back up to the main mission craft. Look at that. If we thought Gilly was a silly place, well, Dak is a pretty silly place. And the really silly thing is, Dak is not the smallest celestial object in this system. We're going to find at least one smaller one as we continue our explorations, but in the meantime, Julie is going to take care of this errand that Chris and Roberta had forgotten. There we go. Julie Kerman saving the day. There we go. Dak, now you don't float away either, okay? And there we go. So, back up to the main mission craft. And with a quick jump and thrusting for her life, she races back towards the main mission craft. She has Delta V to spare in that backpack. It only takes 52 meters per second to get to orbit, and that backpack has 600 meters per second. And there we go. Look at that gorgeous surface of that rock. Dock is a potato with a siren's call indeed, and she is a beautiful place to visit, if a little short on biomes. There we go. And once we get Julie back aboard, we'll plan our ejection out to Dres. There we go. In a few days, we'll head out to Dres. Until then, I'm not manly. Fly safe.